Welcome to another chapter of Aurella the Witch. Today we are going to read Chapter 2, Aurella Lies. And here is your thinking question for this chapter. Aurella deals with a lot of bullies in school. And I want you to think about, what do you think is the best way to deal with bullies? What would you do in Aurella's situation? All right, let's get started. Chapter 2, Aurella Lies.
So I heard you cast a spell on a little girl yesterday and made her trip and fall on her face,
Mavic threw out casually as he was walking Aurella to school. She tripped over her own feet.
Hey, however she tripped, she deserved it. You gotta stand up for yourself, Ella, or they're just gonna keep coming at you.
Oh, so you think I should handle my problems the way you do, by starting fights?
I don't start fights, guys just come at me. I'm too masculine to behold with mortal eyes.
Shut up, Aurella laughed. Hey, witch! A voice yelled behind her. Aurella halted and bit her lip. She took a deep breath and turned slowly around to see Sasha coming up behind her. But whatever malicious remark Sasha had intended to say never found its way out of her throat. She trembled as her gaze followed all the way from Mavic's boots up to his glowering, stormy gray eyes. She gave Aurella one last disparaging glare and skittered away past them. Mavic and Aurella resumed walking.
What's her name? Mavic asked.
Why? You gonna beat up a little girl?
No. Maybe she has a brother I can beat up instead.
Mavic, you get into enough fights as it is without even trying. Let's shoot for at least 2 weeks clean, all right?
2 weeks? 2 hours is more likely.
I don't get why guys just feel the need to attack you.
Must be my giant biceps.
Shut up. But seriously, you think they'd learn that in the end they're going to totally get their butt kicked?
Maybe they're trying to kick my butt before I can kick theirs.
Aurella had to stop a moment to think through his roundabout logic. Maybe, she said. Well, I'll see you later.
See you later, elf. And remember, stand up for yourself.
She did not stand up for herself, even though today was somehow worse than yesterday. Half the class tried to provoke Aurella into doing something that would get her into trouble. Gia poked her from behind, Hestia pulled her hair, and Jarell threw grapes at her head. It took all Aurella's concentration not to scream, but if she reacted, she'd be the one that got punished, not the kids harassing her. That's the way it always played out. Their elderly teacher was incredibly unobservant and horribly mean. Aurella clutched the sides of her chair, her knuckles turning white from the pressure. She wanted to escape so badly that she wanted to cry, but Aurella did not cry. She hadn't produced a single tear since she was 4 years old. She refused to give the world the satisfaction of getting to her. And crying would mean that the bullies won. If you're a witch, why don't you make yourself look not so ugly? Whispered Jarell behind her. Yeah, Hestia giggled. Why don't you just disappear? Why don't you just stop existing? Gia whispered. Unable to withstand one more moment, Aurella stood up so quickly that her chair fell over backward. Boys and girls howled at her clumsiness. Aurella's breaths came in short pants of panic, and she began shaking. She frantically scanned the room, hearing blood pumping in her ears. She had one moment to decide how to approach the situation. Fight or flight? Would she finally fight back like Mavic advised her to? A grape sailed through the air and just missed Aurella's head. Before she had time to be relieved, the small projectile bounced off the wall behind the teacher's desk and hit the old woman in the head before rolling to the ground. The class fell so silent that they could hear the grape hit the floor and roll beneath a student's chair. The teacher's head shot up, making her white frizzy bun atop her head bobble distractingly, and her eyes glared around the room before resting on Aurella. Her scowling, wrinkled face reminded Aurella of a raisin. Well, it's now or never. At least I got her attention, Aurella thought. She clutched fistfuls of her dress to keep her hands from shaking as she walked to the front desk. The walk seemed a mile long, and every eye in the class followed her like vultures eyeing an animal carcass. By the time she stood before her scowling, raisin-esque teacher, Aurella doubted she'd have any voice to say anything. My mom told me this morning that I looked really sick. I think she might be right. I don't feel so good. She had no hope that it would work. She'd forced out the words she intended to say, but they felt different coming out of her mouth, almost as if she'd spoken a different language. Aurella wondered if she just imagined saying them, and even if the teacher had heard her, there was no way she'd let her leave class. No one ever left class. The best-case scenario was being slapped in the face for speaking out of turn. The teacher blinked and her eyes widened. "Yes, please leave before you vomit," she croaked in her sharp yet warbly voice. "I'm not here to clean up after you." Aurella stood in stunned silence. Had she just been given a pass to freedom? Had she actually been given permission to leave? "Go on, leave before I change my mind," the teacher bellowed. Aurella ran out of the door, confused and elated.
"Ella, what are you doing out of school?"
Aurella turned around to see Mavic coming up the road on a horse pulling a cart of hay. His eyebrows were shot up in surprise.
"Wow, you look terrible. Come on, I'll give you a ride home."
He swung his leg over the horse and jumped down to create a boost for Aurella with his hands. She was too small to reach the stirrup on her own. After she settled into the saddle, Mavic climbed up in front of Aurella, who held on to his waist as he nudged the horse forward.
"Must be all those berries you ate yesterday,"
Mavic said.
"I told you to take it easy, berry brain. Now look at you. You look like you're about to throw up. Please don't. I'd really appreciate it if you didn't destroy my tunic. I've only got 2 of these."
Aurella was too shocked to respond. She didn't feel sick at all. That was a lie. So why was everyone treating her like she was about to spew this morning's biscuits and gravy?
"Man, you should get sick more often. I haven't heard you this quiet since you learned to talk." Actually, I take that back. You used to wail like a squealing pig.
Shut up, Mavic.
"I'm sorry, Elf. I can train horses, shovel manure, build a shed, but shutting up is not in my repertoire."
"You're quiet around other people," Aurella grumbled.
"Yes, well, other people are unworthy of my wise words. Anyways, you better hop off and run on back to your bed. Actually, better visit the outhouse first. I'm still not convinced that your breakfast isn't about to reappear in a less appetizing form."
Aurella jumped from the horse and thanked Mavic for the ride. When she opened the front door, her mother nearly tripped over a stool. She'd been washing dishes, and her hand, still holding a steaming dish towel, flew to her chest. "Ella, what happened?" She dropped her towel and felt Aurella's forehead. I guess I don't feel so good." Aurella felt a pang of guilt lying to her mother. But at this rate, it didn't seem to matter what she said. Her face apparently lied for her. She fidgeted nervously with her locket. "Go lay down, Ella. I'll come check on you in just a minute." Aurella obeyed. On her way down the hall, she started wondering if she was sick. Her head began throbbing like she'd stayed up all night. Once in her room, she reached for the small hand mirror she kept on top of her dresser. After raising it to her face, Aurella gasped and almost dropped the mirror. She looked gaunt and green. There were unhealthy bags under her eyes, and her expression looked pained and weary. She looked like she was about to faint. It was a good thing she was standing near her bed, because Aurella's knees gave way, and she did faint. All right, that is the end of Chapter 2. Tomorrow we will read Chapter 3, which is called Aurella Runs from Her Problems. All right, so the thinking question for today was, how do you think Aurella should deal with her bullies? She tends to run away. Mavic tends to fight. What do you think that they should do? I will see you next time for Chapter 3. Bye!